the transfer portal mania that has been going on, and it just gets crazier and crazier as the days go on. If you're brand new here, first, welcome. I'm not Bobby Durkins, and if you are confused why I'm not screaming May there" to you, it's because once again I'm not Bobby Durkins. So hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, pass this along to anyone who likes to talk about college football, especially Clemson football. And yeah, we'll go from there. I see a few people's trickled in here. Just please let me know, can you hear me? As I said a little earlier, this is, it's been kind of tough this morning because, yeah, because yeah, you said you can hear me, and let me know if you can hear me well. Also, so anyway, so I'll dive right in, and unless you say that you can't hear me well, then then I'll just keep trucking. Um, so this morning I checked the transfer portal. Now I will tell you, uh, what I looked at was on 247 Sports. Okay, so on 247 Sports, I checked out the transfer portal as of this morning, and it was some interesting names that's on here, and there's also some. It actually rates these players. So I'm going to go to the top players available according to 247 Sports. In fact, just to help you out here, I'm going to put this link in the comment section, and you can view this for yourself. And if for some reason you're asked who you shared that, let them know I did. I'm not making any money off of it, but I do like to let people know when I send my viewers and the people who trust me and trust my opinion, or just like to criticize my opinion, when I send them to check out a specific site. But if you open this up, you can go to the 2023 tab, and you can select either latest. So these are the latest people who has went into the transfer portal, or you can go to top. And then of course you can break it down by position, and you will be truly blown away by a lot of the talent that is actually in the transfer portal right now. Just a couple of names. A lot of these you're going to already know, but Fentrell Cypress, this is a cornerback. He's out of Virginia. He just entered the transfer portal. Well, I say just entered. He's according to 247 Sports, he's one of the top available prospects. Of course, Devin Leary at quarterback. Jaheim Bell, the tight end from South Carolina, he has entered the transfer portal. DJ, we know DJ entered the transfer portal. Believe it or not, right now he's actually rated over Hudson Card from Texas, who I thought did a great job coming in against Alabama. He just has the misfortune of being there at the same time as Quinn Ewers. J.Q. Hardaway, he's a cornerback out of Cincinnati. He's looking to leave. Luke Fickles has left, so he's going to leave. Let's go up here to the latest. These are the latest people, according to 247 Sports, who has entered the transfer portal. Isaac Guerendo, forgive me if I butchered that. He is a 3-star running back out of Wisconsin. Also, Terrion Lee Jr., 2 years out of Texas A&M. Isaiah Hazel is a 4-star wide receiver out of Maryland. We also have Samar Melvin, 3-star out of Wisconsin. Andre White Jr. out of Texas A&M. Joshua Simon out of Western Kentucky. Go down to a couple of more names. TJ McDaniel, you've probably heard about him, running back out of SMU. Marcus Burris, he is a 4-star out of Texas A&M, defensive lineman. Michael Drennan is a 4-star running back out of Kentucky. Hit some more highlights, and I'm going to dive into why I really wanted to talk about this. We already said Jaheim Bell. Tony Grimes, the cornerback out of North Carolina. That's a 5-star athlete if I've ever seen one. And Lorenzo Lingard, the former #1 running back in the country. He signed with Miami about 3 years ago. The kid figured out that even though he was the #1 running back in the country and he went to Miami, that it wasn't going to be worth a crap there. Lorenzo Lingard transferred to Florida, and now he is transferring. Again, also, Dejon, I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly. If not, probably won't be the first time. Reynolds, wide receiver out of Florida. He's leaving as well. So I can keep going with this. You can do this in your own spare time. You can also go through and check out a bunch of receivers and players out of Alabama are leaving right now as we speak. They are leaving. So why did I go through and read a bunch of this? Somebody just said it sounds like Drake May is going to enter. That'll be interesting if that happens. In fact, I'm going to check that out live. I want to see what rumors I can find out there. Drake May transfer. So as of the 4th, I mentioned Tony Grimes, Cameron Kelly, and Jacoby Criswell. They're leaving. Drake May so far says he plans to return to North Carolina. All right, so as I said, you can go read all of that for yourself, and also you can stay up to date with the transfer portal. I'm 7 minutes in to this video, and I'm going to get to the craziness. Folks, if you're my age, I just turned 40 last month. And there's some of you that are much younger than me. There's some of you much older than me. But if you're just around my age, if you're 30 years old, you can probably remember this. If you're 35, you definitely remember it. 40, absolutely. I remember when there was no, obviously, college football playoff. I remember when there was no #1 versus #2. I remember when the #1 versus the #4 team could play, and whoever the winner is or was could possibly be the national champion. I remember that. Needless to say, things have changed, and it's changed a lot. I'm glad that a computer is not picking who's #1 and #2. Even though the playoff committee has made me scratch my head a few times, I'm glad that we at least have human beings. Human beings can be manipulated. Software programs and algorithms can easily be manipulated. Folks, most likely we'll never have a perfect system. In fact, on this playoff, I wanted 8 teams. 5 conference champions, and then 3 at large. But I'll take 12. If it's between 12 and 4, I'm not going to moan and groan that I didn't get the perfect 8 that I wanted. But I will take the 12. Things have changed. I remember one of the very first transfer players that I ever encountered was when Trevor Pryce from Michigan transferred to Clemson in the mid to late 90s. Now, of course, this was big news for Clemson that someone from Michigan, at that time, a very good football program. I mean, I know they're now back to prominence now. It looks like they're a contender for the national championship, a legitimate contender. But I remember that was a big deal, and you really didn't hear about it that much. Yeah, players transferred, but nothing like what we've experienced, even over the past 5 or 6 years, and definitely not now. when the whole COVID thing opened up the ability for players to transfer immediately without reason, it opened up good and bad. And that's what we must accept. And when I say we must accept, there are things that I don't personally like about the transfer system. There are things that I don't personally like about the NIL deals. I could rant and rave about that. You can pay these players. Let me tell you this, by NIL, Texas should be amazing right now, and they're not. They're what, 7-5? They didn't play some ridiculous schedule. They didn't. And their second string quarterback is on this list. In fact, I'm going to tell you this. If there is any coaching staff out there in the world who is looking to add a quarterback, before I went for Devin Leary, I would definitely go for Hudson Card. He just has the misfortune, as I said earlier, of having to play behind Quinn Ewers, period. There's no question about this. There's no wondering about this. Guys, you could have peanut butter for brains and realize that this guy can play football. The NIL deal has not fixed the financial issues with players whose families are poor. Some of them, but not across the board. And that was missold to us. Of course, people are going to play on the emotions of others. Just like those terrible, terrible commercials of some dog that looks abused and they have the saddest song in the world playing in the background. And you give money, and then you find out that that organization didn't give all the money to help the dogs. The singer that they hired to sing in the background and to look at you while you're trying to enjoy your lunch and watch your rerun of Walker, Texas Ranger, lied to you. Not all of that money went to help that dog that you saw with the massive growth growing out of its eye as you're trying to enjoy some type of potato soup. You were manipulated. And we were manipulated on NIL. Bijan Robinson, good for him. I'm not singling him out as though I'm thinking there's something wrong with him. But I very well doubt him driving a Lamborghini has helped those players who they're calling up and talk to people at home. And they're calling up their families. They're talking to their siblings. And their family is still struggling out the wazoo. NIL has helped very little of them. We were lied to. Accept it. Instead of going on with the charade, go, that was a lie. But does that mean that we need to get away from NIL? No, it means that the system has to be refined. On the plus side, I am glad that players can have their name thrown on the back of a jersey, and when it's sold, they can get the money from the jersey number that they made famous. Who cared about the number 16 at Clemson until Trevor Lawrence came along? Or number 4 until Deshaun Watson came along? I wouldn't just walk around with the number 4. I know some of my old schoolers you're going to be going with. The quarterback. I totally lost it. Put it in the comment section, please. My dad will. Steve Fuller. I think it's Steve Fuller, ain't it? I think it was Steve Fuller. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Jonathan Benton. My dad's not going to speak to me after that for a good 2 or 3 days. Y'all don't tell him. I won't. But Deshaun Watson made the number 4 relevant at Clemson again. And when you see someone walking around and see that jersey on, they know it's Watson. Great. He gets the money for it. He should. He should. He shouldn't have to wait to go to the NFL when he's probably already loaded, and we know he is, to get that money. Well, he's already got the money. I may not like everything about this transfer system, but let me tell you what I do like about it. For those coaches who goes and they look in the player's face and they look at these parents and they tell them, I am here for your kid. I want to take this out because it's really not monitoring back to me like I like. But they look at these kids and they tell them, I am here because I want to be here, and in 3 weeks, they're gone. Okay, that's business. So the players, listen to me, should be able to do the same. I just found out that I'm a better football player than what I was rated. And a lot of people gets into arguments with me and they're like, 4 and 5 stars don't matter. They do matter. Do they all pan out? No. Well, let me tell you this. If you got a team of 4 and 5 star players, by the law of numbers, unless you are terrible at developing players, and there's a bunch of people getting in here, a lot of people I think the world of, a few of them I'm scared of to a point. I'm going to say hello to you in just a second. But you know me, I'm on a rant. By the way, I have 38 people in here, 11 thumbs up. If I'm that terrible, still hit the thumbs up just to lie to me. But my point in saying all of this, is that these players can leave the coach who lied to them. They can leave the institution who hired some coach who did a good job for a few years, and now he has taken his vision that's meant the whole world to him, and now he's gone. That kid doesn't have to stay there and play for some crappy coach. Period. If I go to work for someone and I find out they lied to me, and by the way, I've had some. Right now I'm on lunch break. That's the reason I'm doing what I'm doing. I work remote. I'm in the software business. But the job I had before this lied to me like you wouldn't believe. They told me there was, and I know some of them are probably going to run across this, but I figured that if you can lie to me behind closed doors, you wouldn't mind me telling it out loud. Told me that there was opportunity upon opportunity. Even had friends of mine leave other departments within the company and came into that department only to find out they'd been misled. And guess what? I left. I can name 2 other people who left, and they're in much better jobs, just like I am. And praise you, Lord, for that. Now, I'm not trying to get back at anybody. I'm just telling the truth. I'm glad that I have the ability to leave. That if the right opportunity came along, that I could leave. And I'm glad that those players get that same ability. Now on to the coaches. There is a saying, and it actually offends a lot of women when I've said this, but I'm going to tell you what I heard, and it was said by old women. Old women. It was a warning, by the way. I have heard old women, one of them being my great grandmother, God rest her soul. She passed away. She'd been 100 this year. She passed away in 2006. But I've heard her say this, and I've heard other people in her age group say this, and it's brilliant. They would say something along the lines to the younger women, be careful the method you go and you catch your man, because you're going to have to continue to use it to keep them. So what that means is, if you go out in a short skirt to some bar and find some greasy weirdo, you need to understand you're going to have to keep whatever it was, whatever tool you used to get him to keep him. Because all it's going to take is another short dress, short skirt, to come in to that same bar. And if their legs are better than yours, you've lost your man. No matter how good you are to him, and so on. Now, I know that's offended some people and told that makes women sound bad. I'm sorry, that's reality. By the way, turn on Instagram and thumb through and see how much that's worked for a lot of women. And how many women would sit there and go, that's terrible. And then they post pictures of themselves basically naked. And will have the audacity to place in their little bio, keep it classy. Well, I'm not the one who turned Instagram into into a peep show. Now, I'm not into that stuff. I'm happily married, love my wife. If I wanted to be a bachelor, I'd just stay a bachelor. I love my kids. But my point in saying all of this is these coaches, like Texas A&M, went in and promised people the world. We're going to win championships here. And they had NIL money coming in left and right. In Texas, I see as a failure as well. How much money that they have spent to build that program. And you go through this, first of all, look at their schedule and what happened to them. They're terrible. Absolutely terrible. You have to develop these players, period. Period. You have to. You have to, once you get them there, you have to develop them. And then if you go after someone who's just money hungry for the short time and they're not looking at the long run, guess what you do? You get a money hungry individual who comes in there and they'll do anything for money. So one day they're playing for you and the next day they're not. So my point in saying all of this is that this is the hands that we're dealt with. And Big Mick, I know you said Dabo warned them of the portal and NIL. Now we witnessed it in real time. I agree with a lot of the things that he said. I don't have a problem with someone being paid for their jersey that they've made famous. I really don't have a problem with them being paid for their likeness being used. People want them to be the spokesperson for some company. I have no problem with that. But this is the problem that I have. We're lying to ourselves when we're telling ourselves that it's not money laundering, that someone is not using a local car dealership to funnel money into this particular player to get them to come there. And then, this is the worst of it. And I talked about this just a second ago, and we're at 22 minutes now in the program. They talk about helping players who are underprivileged. That's like when I run into people who are into social activism, and they want to talk about getting more and more people government help. Folks, government help comes from the taxpayer. That's all the government. And I know some of you are like, don't get political here. No, sorry. If you don't like my channel, there's a bunch of people you can go to. You can go to their channels. They'll tell you whatever you want to hear. There's way more of those channels than me. Government has never helped anyone a day in their life unless it gets them votes. And in this scenario, the poor players most likely are not being helped. Most likely they are not being helped whatsoever. I would not be against the idea, and I see Law Tide, which, by the way, is one of the OGs of sports YouTube. Glaze on here, big Alabama fan. I would not be against paying them after they get their diplomas or having some type of managed stipend for it. They're not stipend, some type of managed program to where they're making sure that they're taken care of. But if all the money is coming into the organization, that everybody is taken care of. Now, I'm not a socialist. I hate socialism. It's ridiculous. Go read a history book, and American socialism is no different than any other socialism. It's a turd repackaged into a brown bag, just a different brown bag. But if you wanted to pay a team for the rights to a certain player or to a group of players, that's fine with me. Or let's do this. I'll make this deal with you. Let's go to the NCAA and tell them exactly who they are. Not helpful. If we have a player on the team or players on the team who is their family is struggling financially, and a lot of them are, and we say we truly care for them, how about we do this? How about we let the donors Instead of playing this game of NIL and money laundering and lying to ourselves, how about we do this? How about we just allow these players' families to receive donations as long as it's open? You know, this guy over here whose name's on the big building over here, he built the $55 million complex. He wants to give player ABC over here, he wants to give his family $50,000 because he heard that they were in bad shape. End of story. I've got to oil this chair. Every time I go back and listen back to my broadcast, it sounds terrible. Sounds like a weird fart too. Like, anyway, that's the Durkins coming out of me. But my point in this, folks, is that this is ridiculous. Let's not lie to ourselves. If there's one thing I hate is a lie. I hate it when someone tells me that something's going on that's not going on. So let's go ahead and let the NIL thing, and the NIL deal, by the way, is what's majorly impacting the transfer portal. But let's tell the NCAA, the NCAA proved to me that they were and are nothing more than a special interest group when the University of North Carolina received basically a tap on the wrist. I'm talking about one that you would give an infant that was about to touch a hot eye, and you're like, no, don't do that. You'll burn yourself. When these guys at a top institute acted like they were going to class that didn't even exist. At that moment, instead of us playing this dumb game, every institute that was part of the NCAA should have looked at them and said, you're done. If through NIL deals, people wants to give Bijan Robinson a Lamborghini, I don't care. As long as the player over here who really needs the help can receive the help, even if it's from a donor. Even if the donor, listen to me, even if the donor has a dirty interest, like, what I say dirty interest, that sounds really bad, but even if they have a special interest that says, hey, bring them, but I just want them to come to, I want them to stay here. We'll give them $50,000. Heard their family's hurting. Go ahead and help them. Folks, that's no different than what they're doing in NIL. Grow a brain. You know it. I know it. And then the last thing I want to say about this, and this is really why I want to get in here. Y'all know me. If you have watched any of my shows, as Durkins or as this, you know I can rant for a long time. I have family members of mine who will be sitting at the table with me, and they'll bring up a subject just to see. They can see my eyes twitching as I want to rant about it. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And as I've got older, I have brought it under control. Now, somewhere my wife is going, for some reason, why do I feel like he's exaggerating right now? But my point in saying all of this is I rant. I know I do. Here's one I want to talk to. I appreciate Dabo Swinney. I've given him a lot of criticism over the past 3 years, and it's really heated up in the past 3 or 4 weeks. I'm gonna be honest. So let me see if I can bulletize this. I appreciate what he's done for the school. I say this every time before I talk about him, good or bad, criticism or praise. Dabo Swinney has done more for Clemson football than any other sports coach that's ever been there for any other program. He's did more for Clemson football for his program than most coaches has ever done for any of their programs and their school. You may not like everything about him. There's times I wished he would stop doing certain things, but overall, unless we find out tomorrow that he's having a physical relationship with a goat, Dabo Swinney is a good guy. He is a family man. Part of what has made him successful is also part of the reason he didn't make the right move with Cade this season. He gave DJ a chance and chance over and over and over again. If he was going to give him a chance, he should have went to his offensive coordinators and offensive strategists and said, hey, we need to stop trying to run the RPO with a guy who's not RPO and try to cater to his strengths like they did Cole Stout. Chad Morris trying to make Cole Stout Deshaun Watson the entire time. Chad Morris leaves, gets into the Russell Athletic Bowl against Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma is going to rip their hair off their bodies. And a guy named Jeff Scott and Tony Elliott. And by the way, Jeff Scott, even though he didn't call the plays, notice when he left, it all went to pot. So for anybody who's like, Jeff didn't call plays, I know. He did something. I don't care if he made them really good breakfast and that motivated them. Bring the man back. Please, please bring him back. Joe Brady did not call the plays. But before Joe Brady and after Joe Brady was not good, but with Joe Brady, it was amazing. So once again, I don't know if he shined the tires on the vehicles and it made everything work. Bring him back. That's what I would say. But Swinney should have done that. If he's going to keep DJ in, because when DJ goes out there and throws the ball into the ground or, he's lumbering trying to, run the RPO and people's making fun of him. Folks, I don't think that's helping the guy's psyche either. I don't think that's helping confidence. I don't think that's lightening the load on an already bad load, the things he's going on personally. But he finally made the decision that we were all screaming from the mountaintops. Put Cade in. Put Cade in with the first string. There's the caveat. That's the main asterisk. That's the variable in this equation. And we saw what happened. Bo Collins, top receiver for Clemson, did not play that game. He was out. Hurt. And we saw what Cade did. It didn't just trickle over. It was like the Hoover Dam broke and enthusiasm washed over the defense. We saw that. Drake May, the week that we played South Carolina, would have picked us apart like a hungry man eating fried chicken off the bone. It would have been disastrous. But his enthusiasm, the life that he brought to the team, the fear that he put in the hearts of the opposing team, that was big. That was massive. See Slim Shady Kane's in here. Got St. Germain, Big Mick. Got Hit Wonder, Sue Kavanaugh, my old buddy up there, Ohio State fan. Matt's in here. Ridge Runner, the Brown Tiger. I'm telling Bobby Durkins you broke into his room. He's going to be ticked off, but we might record that and that end up on going viral or something. James Thompson, good to see you. Parker Henderson, my old buddy down there in Alpharetta. Diving right back in here as I close this down. Set up all of this 33-minute video to line this up. I told a story yesterday, and for some of you, you heard this story. Some of you didn't. So I'm going to tell it, and I'll bulletize it. I have a family member who, just 5 years ago, this is a very smart person. They've made good money. And why I say that is it's not like they're having to go shop at just their hands are tied. I'm trying to put it that way, in a nice way. The person's not backwoods, but the person is stubborn. And they would hear me and my family talk about shopping online. Most people say shopping on Amazon. I'm not a big fan of Amazon. Buy from Amazon here and there. But shopping online, we'll just put it that way. And this person goes, oh, I don't do that. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I go to the store and I do this and I do that. And it was like 5 years ago. I mean, the whole online shopping thing was well on its way. And then this person began to notice that they got sick and tired of going to the local malls and local shops, especially during like this time of year, that they just couldn't take it anymore. And then they wasn't finding what they needed. The return policy was ridiculous. They just had it and then finally broke down and tried shopping online once and was blown away by the world of possibility that we all told them that they needed to experience. But they didn't want to do it because they were stubborn. But now, That's the thing I look at Swinney. Swinney, don't Cade Klubnik us here. You're a smart man. You've done more. We respect you. We respect your example and so on. But just like my Granny Wilson I talked about earlier, I love that woman, but I don't want her to do brain surgery on me because she's not a brain surgeon. There's things faults that she has. My kids can tell you faults that I have right now. My wife definitely can. Doesn't mean that we don't appreciate you, but there's a difference between appreciation and worship. I've had people call me out for my criticism this week of Swinney, and I quickly reminded them that if you cannot criticize a leader when they're doing something that is detrimental to an organization, you're no longer a fan, you're a cult member. You're on the Kool-Aid. And Dabo Swinney and or his staff, he's the head honcho. He's the one paid $10 million a year. Good for him. Hope to be there one day. But he's done it. He's reached the pinnacle. But his stubbornness and unwillingness to listen to everybody and then getting mad at us on a call-in show telling us y'all are wrong and maybe y'all ought to leave or something. No. Stop having a hissy fit, as my older family members would say. Calm down. That's like looking at a housewife and saying, you know what, I really don't like this casserole. Well, I guess you want me to run off with Bob across the street. Nope. That's ridiculous. I just said I didn't like your casserole. I didn't say you didn't mean anything to me. How ridiculous. But guess what? He put in Cade, and what happened? Exactly what we were all yelling about. It cost us a college football playoff. If Clemson won that game against South Carolina with Cade in there, and I'm quite sure they will, but listen, South Carolina fans, I know you're like, well, you lost. Boom. It's like, you can tell someone who doesn't win a lot, when they finally do win, they get really obnoxious. That's them. Clemson would have won that game. They would have with Cade. They would have won the game. The team responds to him. I don't know what it is. Doesn't mean that DJ's a bad kid. I'm pulling for him. Hope the very best for him. Hope he goes to a system that works for him. If they even mention RPO that he would have to run, next team. Don't go there. Please don't. Don't, kid. You're wasting your time. Go somewhere that will make you shine. But my point in every flipping bit of this, Swinney, don't wait until 5 years from now for you to realize, like my family member, that online shopping is a good idea. Out of your stubbornness, don't cost your team, because you literally just cost your team a playoff run. You did. You cost yourself a 7-year win streak over the Gamecocks. You did. You snapped your own win streak at home. And you didn't have to. All you had to do was just use your competitive sense, which you have more than most all of us on here put together, and told your stubbornness, chill out, man. You're not helping DJ by putting him out here in a system that doesn't work for him, and then he receives criticism. And then you're putting more stress on him. It would be easier to bench him, challenge him, challenge my coaches. I could go through this whole spiel again. Or I could put the right man on the team, or on the field. That is my concern with this transfer mania. I'm sitting here looking at players. Right now, I just click back over here. I'm looking at players that we could definitely use. I mean, I'm looking at, you can never have too many good players, folks. I mean, this Isaiah Hazel kid out of Maryland, he wouldn't be a bad pickup. He wouldn't be a bad pickup. Now, I don't know about him personally, so if somebody comes up and goes, you know that he shot his grandma in the head. No, I didn't know that, and I don't want that on the team. But I'm saying you could go through here and find players that would help Clemson continue growing, and instead of us having the drop-off year like we had last year, where we didn't have a backup. That didn't have to happen, folks. That didn't have to happen. Everybody say it with me. Last year didn't have to happen. It's probably grammatically incorrect, but just roll with it. It didn't have to happen. You can go to this portal. This portal right now is the richest it's ever been. The richest it's ever been. Now, as far as quarterbacks this year, we're fine. We have Klubnik. Next year, we have, as long as the ink dries on the contract, the pen makes it to paper, we have Vizzini coming in next year. And we're feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good. But if you need wide receivers, you can find them. If you need a safety, you can find them. If you need a long snapper, you can find them. If you need more cornerbacks, right now, Tony Grimes. I'll guarantee you if Clemson hit up Tony Grimes right now and said, hey, we'd like to talk to you about coming and playing at Clemson. We'd like to talk to you about joining our team. You can't tell me you wouldn't listen. Not all of these players in here are a bunch of money hungries thinking about right now. Some of them are. And that's the risk you take when you reach out to the portal, that you may actually encounter someone who is just completely and totally money hungry, and they'll leave you in a bad place. Folks, whether they're money hungry or not, haven't we been burned by players in the past? I don't want to name some of them because maybe they were going through something in life and hopefully they made a change. But I can think of about 3 players right now. Also, I can tell you this. I know some players who did very well at Clemson. Clemson was very good to them. The Clemson community was very good to them. They left. They went to the NFL. They've been doing great in the NFL, and they trashed Clemson as a bunch of sit-around racists. Like, we're all sitting around screaming the N-word at each other and holding Klan rallies down at Death Valley on the hill, when that's a lie. I'm not impressed by that either. And there's a few of you know exactly who I'm talking about. Things are going to happen when you deal with people. You will be betrayed. You will not. There will be people who will play that culture game with you too. They'll come in and they'll be the yes man. Oh yeah, what's Dabo's talking points? That's what I'll talk to. And they're not good for you. They're not good for the team around you. You can't walk around thinking that there's some type of informative evil behind every bush. I'm a Christian. I believe there is actually a Satan. I actually believe there's actually demons. I actually believe in darkness and principalities that's laid out in Scripture. And I don't believe that every door that I look behind has some evil that's ready to chop my head off. I'm not saying you can't be careful. I'm just saying you can't go through life thinking that everybody's out to get you. And if you think that you found some perfect formula to vet out people, that may be your very downfall. All right, I've ranted, raved about this. This is crazy. This is a crazy day. I'm telling you, go to this link that I put in 247 Sports. And from 247 Sports, once again, I have no affiliation with them. I have, they're not paying me to say that. I think I know one person. No, I don't know one person who writes over there. I know one person who writes for Sports Illustrated. That's it. We've been on a couple of shows together, and they're good people. But I'm just telling you, Big Mick said On 3 is good. I've watched some On 3 recently. Just been turned on to them. I believe it or not, I don't really watch a lot of YouTube. Like, me and Pigskin Pete are friends. I rarely watch his videos. Not because I don't want to watch his videos. It's because it's really tough enough for me to just get on here and do this. I think the world of Mark Rogers. Mark Rogers is a friend of mine. At the same time, I don't get to watch Mark. So I think the world of him, and he's great at what he does. So there's nothing personally wrong. It's just I'm in fact, I'm going to have to get off here and start back to work. But check out that 247 Sports link. As I said, I'm not being paid to push their site, but do check out that link. I think that it would be extremely helpful. Also, I want to tell everybody thank you so much for subscribing to this channel, and I want to tell you why I started this channel because my oldest, Bobby Durkins Jr., my oldest, told me, he said, you know what you need to do? You need to do a channel. You need to create a channel where it is just you talking. It's just you talking as yourself. You know, you're not doing the may there's and all this bunch of stuff. He said, I think it would go really well. And like a good dad, I did not listen to him for a good 3 or 4 years. It would almost remind you of a certain coach that I've been talking about. So I finally did it, and right now I have over 800 subscribers. I know in the world of YouTube, you have people with 50, 60,000, 100,000, a million, 10 million subscribers. Those days are probably not going to happen for me, but I appreciate each and every person who even just turns on their phone while they're working, put in their iBuds or their iBuds, their AirBuds. I need more coffee, and listen to my show, even if it's just for a few minutes of it. I appreciate each and every one of you. Got a lot of kind words. We'll take one question here. Michael Chambly, I hope I'm saying your name properly. Do you support the transfer portal? Absolutely. I do. I do. I can't shut down a portal just because bad things are going to happen. I can't do it. I hate regulation like you would not believe. I despise regulation. Do I want urine in my water? No. But look at New York City, a beautiful, probably one of the most historic cities in time. And there's so much regulation that it actually hurts. It actually hurts their citizens. The cost of living's through the roof. You have people who become extremely addicted to a system that's failing them, but they've been told that that's the only system that can help them. I just being quite honest with you, I don't think that we should regulate everything. Bad things are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. You can't shut down roads of you shut down avenues of roads and interstates and highways because someone may unfortunately lose their life. Can you imagine if we did that all the time? Could you imagine if one plane crashed and we go, there was 300 people killed on that plane, and that is tragic and that's terrible and that's horrible. I've got to fly out to California next month. I hope to God I'm not one of them. But at the same time, I would beg my family, look, don't go on an anti-airplane, anti-travel road of life. I want you to get on a plane, get in a car, drive, see the world. We can't put ourselves in some type of bubble because something bad might happen. I did not say you can't be careful. Don't walk down dark alleys. If you're in a bad neighborhood, bad area of the city, wherever that may be, country, there's parts in the country you would not catch me near. I mean, you can just hear banjos playing. It scares the crap out of me, and I'm way too refined for them. I mean, just telling you. My point about all of that is you don't go there by yourself. You go there with a group, or if you're comfortable carrying a gun, do it. Be careful. Protect yourself. You have that right. At the same time, let's not police everything. The transfer portal is going to have bad ramifications, and it's going to have good ramifications. For me, the good ramifications is if certain people will use it and they meet with individuals and they see that, hey, this is a good person, this is a good guy. He realized that he signed with the wrong team, or maybe he's grown as a person and realized that this is not the team that he should be on, and he feels like we'd be a good fit for him. I say that's mercy. I say that's gracious. I say that's giving someone a second chance. I say that gives someone the ability to right the wrong of a poor decision. I'm 40 and I make poor decisions. I know I sound like Mike Gundy there. But I make poor decisions at 40. I mean, I just hope to God, and I don't say that in a slang way. I literally mean that. I hope to God that someone wouldn't go, well, you're stuck in that. Sorry. And sometimes it's good to have to sit and lay in your bed that you've made, reap the consequences. Sometimes there's value in that. I think in these scenarios, you're going to get a little bit of both. So I support the transfer portal. And we also need to remember, and I'll close with this. I promise you I'll close with this. There's coaches, my coaches, uh, there are some good coaches out there, and just like anything, there's good school teachers, there's bad school teachers, there's good doctors, there's bad doctors, there's good preachers, there's bad preachers, there are good politicians, okay, a few of them, and there's a lot of bad politicians. There are good farmers who will actually go out there and they'll grow a quality product. There's other people they'll fill their food with crap and it'll be polluted and they don't care if you eat it and die and get sick. We can't. Once again, it's we live in a fallen world. It's terrible. There's good coaches out there, but there's bad coaches out there. There's coaches who has lied to these players. They have lied to them. They have lied to the players. They've told them something. They got them into a contractual agreement to come to an institution, most likely leaving their family behind. They come out there, they get into a certain workout, they get into a certain practice session, and they realize after being there for a little bit, it clicks with them. This joker who's paid millions of dollars, or if he's a recruiter, hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions of dollars, he lied to me. He point blank lied to me, just like I talked about my former company lying to some of my coworkers. Great example. There was one. He was working in another department. Did great. I mean, this guy was. I mean, he was like one of those home run hitters. They told him, "Oh man, if you'll come over to our department, you'll really make the money." And he left. He left the company, and on his way out, I asked him. I said, "Was the job that you were promised the job you got?" He said, "Oh, absolutely not." I said, "If you don't mind me asking, how much money did you end up losing?" He said, "The year that I was in this new department that I was promised the world," he said, "I made 25 to 30% less than what I made in my old department." People lie all the time, guys. And then they'll wrap this whole thing, especially coaches. If you're a good coach out there, I'm not talking about you, so don't get offended, but, you know, but then they'll wrap the deal. Well, man, this is your next challenge. You got to step up. You got to be a man. You got to man up. No, part of being a man is telling the truth. You don't have to be a jerk about it, but you can tell the truth. And if you tell the truth and it hurts someone, guess what? It's the truth. If you don't like the truth, change it. Good grief. All right, I'm gonna shut up. But needless to say, some coaches that have lied, and I think we're seeing that with A&M. We're seeing that with other schools. Transfer portal gives these players. Once again, you're going to have some players that they're leaving for bad reasons. But the people who's leaving for good reasons, like they were lied to in the recruiting process, and it happens, it happens, it happens, it happens, it happens. Don't deny it. I know there's some former coach out there that goes, well, you got to shut up, man. Nope, you're part of the problem. The transfer portal gives these kids a chance. I say kids, they're boys, in my opinion. I mean, 17, 18, I've got a 16-year-old downstairs. I love that boy to death. I'm just telling you. Fine young man. There's some days he proves he's not a guy. He's still a boy. I mean, he does things that you'll be like, why'd you do that? And then there's other days you can see his maturity level. He's 16. So all I'll say is it gives these boys a chance to call the bluff of dishonest coaches. And I think that is one of the positives, the pros that outweighs the cons. So thank you so much for, if you stuck with me this entire time, thank you so much. I'm posting a link right now in the comments section. It's the support the channel. You'll see it's under Bobby Durkins. It's under Bobby Durkins. But you'll be able to see where you can support this channel. You will see Bobby Durkin's face. And by the way, I went on a photo shoot with my son. He took the pictures, and that was a really fun day because I got to really do some stupid stuff and took pictures, and we put them up. So, yeah. Thank you for joining me here. Hit the subscribe button. Remember, it's free. It is flipping free. Hit the notifications. I know you hear people say that. Why? It'll actually notify you when I'm going live. And hit the thumbs up. That's another way to help the channel. Gets it to more people. They enjoy it. And it makes it easier for me to, do what I do. Leave your comments in the comments section. Maybe some thoughts, your disagreements, your agreements, your suggestions about this topic. And I try to read them as much as I can. I've really been blessed recently to have a lot of people who has been watching this channel, and I'm shocked. I'm really, really shocked. But I've really enjoyed interacting, even with the people who was being jerks to me. I mean, I've even enjoyed some of those interactions. It's been fun. But I'm Ryan Knight. I'm not Bobby Durkins, at least not right here. Thank you for joining me. As always, go Tigers.